Folks, you won't believe it. The world is now on watch as Venezuelan leader Maduro holds a referendum on whether to invade its oil-rich neighbor, Guyana. I'm going to discuss how this could spark yet another global crisis and the impact this could have on oil markets. Number 2, markets are going full euphoria. The Dow just notched its longest winning streak since 2021 as big money continues to pump up markets and mutual funds play catch-up. What's really driving this behind the scenes, and what does the historical data suggest is coming next? In fact, there's many reasons to believe that December is going to be wildly green. Number 3, you are seeing squeeze after squeeze in everyday companies like Foot Locker, which are breaking out again and again. We'll go over plays and upcoming catalysts to know about as we head into the last couple of weeks of this year. And folks, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. And before we get into today's video, I want to announce the grand opening of our ZipTrader options program. For those of you who want to learn rather violently how to trade options from the ground up, well, this is the program for you. We start from the very bottom and build up, so this is perfect for folks who are complete beginners. We'll also have new video lessons coming out every single week for the next few months, so if you do want to follow along, now is the time to join. And in honor of the grand opening, we're going to discount membership 50%. All you got to do is put in coupon code LAUNCH50 before checkout to take advantage. It's never been a better opportunity to start learning options to leverage the moves and expand your buying power with options. For example, if you look at the difference between buying shares of Exxon during its big run last year and buying call options on Exxon for the same move, well, the stock went up 37%, but the call options went up 897%. Would you rather be in at $60 and out at $82, or in at $1.83 and out at $18.26? And that's just one case study of how you can use options to really leverage the moves that you see coming. We're going to go into all of this in the program. That first link down below, coupon code LAUNCH50. Looking forward to seeing you there. Okay, plug aside, let's get into the work. So let's talk Venezuela. So Venezuela obviously has had a lot of economic issues for many decades, but believe it or not, in the 1950s, they were the 4th wealthiest country due to their massive amount of oil riches. And after decades of government mismanagement of their resources, endless spending on unaffordable social programs, and near sole reliance on oil as a revenue generator, well, now some 75% of the population live in extreme poverty. And because of endless money printing to fund their massive social programs, their inflation rate is now at 359%. Which is actually an improvement from the 2,355% inflation rate in 2020 when oil prices dropped to big lows. So obviously Venezuela is now in a spot where they need money, and they need it bad, and they need big money, folks, big money. And so they're trying to come up with creative and new innovative ways to get that money, to get that moolah. What's the latest idea? Well, you see, there's this country next to Venezuela called Guyana. It's an English-speaking former British colony, which is pro-Western, pro-West, and is the fastest growing economy in the world thanks to its massive offshore oil deposits. Now, conveniently, the Venezuelan government has long believed that 2/3 of this region belong to them. It's also true that Venezuelan children growing up had been taught to draw a map of their country with this region included as well. So it's inbred in the minds of the Venezuelan people. And the reason, again, that this is relevant now is because Venezuela is completely broke and looking for money, and this region is super resource rich and ripe for pillaging. They just need to do a little invasion, annex the land, and boom, they got all of that extra moolah and all those extra resources, which are coming at a good time because a lot of countries are easing sanctions on them, saying they're easing sanctions because Venezuela is becoming a more fair election place, but really easing the restrictions because of the different climate pledges that Western countries have made, where they can't make up for shortfalls in oil with their own oil because it's going to pollute, so they have to buy it from other countries that don't care about pollution. That's how you protect the earth, because of course these countries are all on different planets. But Venezuela is looking at this area as a big fat piggy bank to fund their government, and as we speak, Venezuelans are voting on a referendum to decide whether the country should essentially go in and again annex the region for Venezuela. And of course, Venezuela being a dictatorship, well, it's not too hard for this vote to go in the way that Maduro and company wants it to go. And even more so, a rigged referendum is a fun way for the government to say once they invade, oh, this is what the people wanted. I'm just doing what the people wanted. Now, if you look at Latin American countries with the biggest personnel, well, Venezuela sits at number 4 with 137,500 personnel, whereas the Guyana Defense Force sits at 4,600 with 3,000 in reserve. So outside of international intervention, there's really nothing stopping Venezuela from taking Guyana here. So why exactly are they thinking that now is the time to invade? Well, again, obviously they need the money, they need the moolah. But another reason is that the international community is becoming more and more reliant on them. Recent months months have seen major countries, including this one, soften their sanctions on the country in hopes of getting more and more of their oil. Again, if you read into it, they're saying, oh, we're doing this because Venezuela is promising to have more election integrity. Maduro is promising that the elections are going to be more trustworthy. They'll be about as trustworthy as it takes for him to hold on to power. As long as you trust that Maduro is going to win all future elections, then sure, they're trustworthy. But anyways, Maduro and the government over in Venezuela believes that now is the time to hit Guyana. Number one, they need to hit Guyana because they need some form of revenue to be able to fund their government. And the other thing is countries right now are rushing more and more to appease them. So it's a really, really, really good time. Now, that being said, if Venezuela does hit Guyana, it's certainly going to be hit with new sanctions and the oil trade is going to become very, very complicated. But you might see some exceptions, as you've seen with other countries that continued to trade oil, like, for example, Russia, Iran, and so on and so forth. Well, oftentimes sanctions hit everything except for oil. Sanctions hit everything except for the major commodity that's being traded. So Venezuela's like, okay, well, if they sanction everything in our economy like they've already been doing for a long time, but they allow us to trade oil, well, guess what? That it doesn't even matter. We can just invade whoever we want. And there's not really much of an army there to resist. So who cares? Let's go to war. That's exactly what they're saying right now. And that's why we have a whole other global crisis on our hands here. What do you think? Is this going to spiral or is this a non-starter? Are they going to take this referendum and just do nothing? Well, you can let us know down below. Okay, let's talk markets. So the Dow, as you know, has just notched its longest winning streak since 2021. And media is pegging this on Jerome Powell, signaling that officials are likely done raising rates by saying that the central bank's policy is already well into restrictive territory. Now, we've been long talking about the thesis that markets are rallying right now, not because of any underlying fundamentals in the economy. In fact, nearly every data set suggests that the economy is getting weaker and weaker month over month, year over year, not stronger. The market right now is rallying because big funds and computer algos are making the calculus that the current trend towards year end and into the beginning of Q1 is easier to accelerate than it is to go against. At the same time, you're seeing major bank after major bank upgrade the overall market, adding euphoria to the fire, and they're going to be pumping and pumping and pumping this market all the way until they can't make any more money doing that, and then they're going to do a massive rug pull, and you're going to see stocks get obliterated, pop like a big balloon. Banks and media aren't even trying to hide it anymore. You look at Deutsche Bank, Deutsche, maybe this is a coincidence, maybe it's not, but Deutsche Bank right now is being celebrated across media for making a super high S&P 500 forecast and saying even that might be too conservative. Yet at the same time, they're coming out and bluntly saying that they see a mild recession coming in the middle of next year. So why would they predict that markets are going to rally much, much higher, and that's even conservative, when at the same time they think that there's going to be a mild recession in a couple quarters? Because again, the game is not in predicting what's happening on Main Street. The game is predicting on what's happening in the market. Those are two different things. This is nothing but trend riding and false momentum being created here. Again, Deutsche Bank may or may not be trying to do this intentionally, but it's pretty clear that the media is hyping everywhere, and Wall Street is hyping everywhere, hyping people to buy in at all-time highs right now. You see, folks, big money banks, institutional players know that money is made in the market not in caring about what's happening to Main Street, but rather by accelerating trends and amplifying people's emotions. It's much easier to emotionally trick people into buying a market and riding a trend than it is to actually have an economy that's worth buying into. And banks know this, so they're like, okay, let's ride that beautiful momentum and then we'll take some profit. For example, Bank of America's Hartnett calls this market emotionally bullish but intellectually bearish. That means that many, especially the sheep, are buying based on emotions, fear of missing out, but few are analyzing the economy or even the companies that they are buying and saying, oh, these are really, really solid deals. No, they don't care if it's a good deal or not. They're buying because they think other people are buying. And the smart people in this, which I hope each and every single one of you are, well, the smart people are looking at this and they're either saying, okay, I'm going to sit out of this because I don't want to play a short-term trend, or they're saying, I want to make a lot of money off this short-term trend. The smart people are looking at this and they've been buying the last couple of weeks, predicting that this pump is going to continue, but they're going to be out at the first signs of trouble. The first 3, 4, 5% drop in the S&P 500, they're going to be gone with their profits and will spend the winter partying in tax-free domiciles like the Bahamas. And of course, the big algos are going to be making out like bandits on this trend. It's going to be beautiful. Now, of course, there's a lot of people I know that say the way to make money in the market is by buying and holding undervalued companies. The problem, though, with that strategy is that oftentimes undervalued companies will go up and down for years and basically net you a break even during periods of high rates like we're in now. So you have to be able to trade the moves themselves, not just randomly sit in stocks that you think are a good value because they went up in low rate environments. Buying and holding good companies is a great strategy if you have many, many, many years and rates go back down. But if you're somebody that's like, I want to buy undervalued stocks and ride trends, well, the way to do that is by simply playing the trend but not falling for it, remembering that the trend is your friend until the trend bends, and guess what? That trend ain't no longer your friend. Now, what's going to happen next? Well, probabilities are that the Dow Jones will continue to rise in December. And all year since 1896, the Dow rose about 70% of the time. In years when the market through November is up, which is what happened this November, well, around 75 to 80% of the time, the Dow continues up. In periods where the PE ratio on November 30th is above the historical median, which it was, about 70% of the time, the Dow rises. And when the CAPE ratio on November 30th is above the historical median, about 70% of the time, the Dow rises. CAPE ratio is also known as the Shiller PE, by the way, if you didn't recognize that. But in fact, even in bad years like 2000, where the internet bubble burst, in December, the Dow still rose 3.6%. So that means, folks, that it's way, way more likely than not that the Dow continues rallying. Now, let's talk about what's happening as a result of this overall market rally. Well, shorts are getting completely destroyed on stock after stock. You look at Foot Locker stock as an example, trading like a hypey parabolic AI stock, but they just sell shoes in smelly stores. They're not doing anything with AI, yet the stock is up 50% in the last 3 months. Prediction, well, you're going to see a lot more of these mid to small size companies squeeze as short sellers flip their bets into the overall market uptrend. Small caps had record bad performance last year and really underperformed broader markets this year, and I believe that trend will change very, very soon. Meanwhile, you got a lot of markets and really big money market makers making a ton of money selling puts to people that think markets are going to drop further, yet they continue not to drop. You look at the year-to-date returns reported by Nomura, the daily at-the-money put sellers are up some 13% year-to-date, but the important part is the last 20 days, which saw some 3.8% returns. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but this is on SPX and S&P 500 tracker. Imagine how much potential there is in individual stocks that are running massively week after week. Imagine how much potential there will be on the way back down as bearish bets start flipping to being the profitable ones. Do you want to learn how to trade options, how to sell options, how to buy options? Well, I'll go ahead and put that link to that new options course down below. Really excited. We haven't launched a new course since ZipTrader U first came out in 2019, and now we got ZipTrader options. Now it's time for you to get out your notepad and write down these upcoming data releases that are coming this week. The key events to know, we've got the JOLTS job data coming on Tuesday alongside the non-manufacturing PMI. You got the ADP non-farm employment data coming on Wednesday, the initial jobless claims data Thursday, consumer sentiment data Friday, November jobs report on Friday. We also are 1 week out from the December Fed meeting, which will be on December 12th through the 13th. Anyways, that caps off today's video. And again, if you'd like to learn how to use options to play current trends, I'll put the link to our brand new options program down below. Coupon code LAUNCH50 will get you 50% off for our grand opening. Anyways, that caps off today's video. Make sure to hit that ravishing like button and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.